Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Cattane, and I write, Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction under the pen name Dee Dee Bowman with my loving mother, Barbara Bauk.
That's awesome. Hi.
She's sitting there, loving mother. You have to say it that way.
No, she didn't pay me, though.
Yes.
With
Hi,
chocolate?
everyone. Maria says, good to see you, Maria. Oh, with chocolate? Yeah, Tina, for sure. Tina, it's good to have you back. We're all back together again. Hooray, hooray. And we're happy to see everybody in the chat this morning. Make sure you reach out and say hello. Remember also to like and subscribe so that you'll never miss an episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. And also, can you do us a favor and tell your writer friends that we're here every Friday to inform, encourage, and support them as well? We'd like to grow the podcast to reach more people because when we were new writers, we just wanted to find a podcast that wouldn't embarrass us if we had it playing with grandma in the room or with little kids running around. So that's what we want to be. We want to be your writer podcast that you can have on every Friday and join us in the chat. So good morning, chat. Good morning, ladies.
Morning, Shell.
And let's go around the table like we always do and see what's up with our hosts. What's up with you today, Jen?
I'm cold. I know we've been laughing. Ron and I have been laughing at Jamie when we have office hours this week because Jamie's in a sweater with a sweatshirt over top of it and a blanket wrapped around her, and she lives in Florida. And Ron and I are in t-shirts, because it's not below 30 yet, so it's still warm to us. But for some reason, my office is cold today, or maybe it's just me. But today I'm cold. So I didn't know if I was going to share this or not, but I'm just going to share it really quickly. So I got a bad review, and normally I just laugh them off because I've had them before. I had one bad review. The person complained that it was too short. My novella, it should have been she complained that it wasn't novel length, and so you just laugh those off. This one stung a little bit though, and I talked with Jamie, and I read it to her, and she's like, if I'm going to get a negative review, I want it to be like that. So I guess it wasn't too bad, but it, the person I was definitely not her cup of tea. She complained that my World War I novel had a war scene at the beginning. So whatever, but I just wanted to share that because I feel like everyone goes through it. You're going to go through it multiple times. I probably, at some point I'll probably stop reading reviews. But I'm still new to this game, so I read it. So it happens. I'll get over it. I don't agree with everything she says, but that's her opinion, right? So
can I ask you a question that I don't know? You're not prepared for this question. Is that okay? We didn't talk about this ahead of time.
Am I ever prepared for your questions? And I just get coffee everywhere.
Okay, maybe we should let you just.
No, that's okay. Ask me the question.
Oh my goodness. Maybe we should let you take care of my question was just okay, so she didn't find your book to be her cup of tea and she had some things to say about it, right? So let's pretend you're her, Jen. What would you have done differently so that the author wouldn't feel like this about your 3-star review? How about that? Was it her tone or was it what would you do? And maybe you need to think about that while we do the other what's ups.
No, I can answer it right now. I wouldn't have given a bad review. I feel like that because here's the thing, I can't just let it go. I had to click on her name and see her reviews for other people. Sorry, it keeps bringing Shell up because my keyboard got wet.
Oh my goodness.
And I was the worst review she had given that I could see quickly. And then I saw in her bio that she's an author too. So we've talked about before that there's kind of this unspoken thing that if you're an author and you don't like someone's book, and unless you've agreed to review it, I guess, but I just wouldn't review it. And so I wouldn't, but anyway, I got over that. It's fine. I don't think that you have to only give me positive reviews. If you didn't like it, it's fine. I think it was more about the things that she thought were negative. I was just kind of she complained about my basically theology in the book.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was kind of weird because you're not really a theologian. That's not your thing.
No, not at all. And what she accused me of, and she's like, "Well, but I believe in free will." And I'm like, "You have no idea who you're talking to." Like there's nothing in my book that's anti-free will. If anything, it's the opposite because I'm very much a free willer. And I don't want to get into theology in here, but
In fact, I kept thinking about free will the whole time because, like, through your whole series, all I see is the word will all over the book.
yeah, because it's a character name. But
And the theme like kept popping in my head because of that. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, like
so
it was off. She was off the target there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because she talked about me stuffing this other theology down her throat. And so that bothered me because that's just wrong. It bothered me that she complained about the first scene, even though I worked very hard to make that not over the top, but yet emotional. And I clearly state that my book is set during World War I. And then the other thing that there was another thing that bothered me I just felt like she just completely like, oh, so I guess most people would take it as a compliment or would write it as a compliment. She talked about how she had to sometimes put the book down because it was so intense that she needed to take a break. Well, some people would write that as I was so into the book that I had to walk away, where she was like, there can be too much tension or whatever she wrote, like with exclamation point. And I'm like, so clearly it just wasn't her cup of tea. I'm going to try to take it as a compliment that I wrote so well that she said that. She said I wrote it was well written, well edited, like but anyway.
Yeah, that's why I said if I was going to get a negative critique, I would want that one because she did throw in a lot of positive. She didn't sandwich it. She started right off with I hated this book. Like it was the first I hated this book. I was like, whoa.
Okay, so I have a question. So as a reader, putting your reader hat on, would you leave a negative review especially for another, well, not for another writer because you wouldn't do that, but I'm thinking as a reader, if you don't like the story or how the story goes, would you leave a negative review or would you only save negative reviews for poorly written ones?
That's me. If they're poorly written, I might leave a review to say so.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's really
written,
badly poorly written, if it was just a few things, I wouldn't say anything.
Well, let's face it. And the reason we're having this discussion is because, unfortunately, with publishing just becoming a matter of figuring out how to push buttons, just about anything can get published between two pieces of paper and be called a book. And just maybe it's not a well-written maybe it's just letters strung together and people need to be warned or something. But I mean, these kind of conversations always kind of make me feel like, because I don't like a lot of books that I pick up. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so people beg and beg for reviews, but it's like, I don't think you want my review. So I think I'm not ever leaving reviews because I feel like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But then it's like, well, then if you leave a review, if you leave a review for someone, but then they know you read their book and you don't leave a review for them. So like, I think I'm just done leaving reviews, period.
Cindy says, I've left a 3-star review for something that I read the whole story, so I kept my attention, but it desperately needed editing.
Oh, well, yeah.
Maybe if the lady had just written it differently, like if she would have said why she was giving it a 3, but here's why it wasn't my cup of tea, but it was very like passionate with exclamation points and like it just felt very pointed, right?
Well, yes, and let's turn this into a very constructive learning experience.
That's what I want to do.
Why don't you tell us what you did not do? Don't be that guy, right, Jen? What did you not do?
I did not respond.
There you go. So
I did
talk
not
more
engage
about that, Jen.
Because some authors will. Because the woman was wrong on some things. Like I'm clear in my blurb.
You are not. You are free will. Yeah.
Right. I believe in free will, and the fact that she thought I was trying to stuff something else on her throat, I don't know where she got that from. I'm very clear in my blurb that this is a World War I setting. Why would you not expect there to be some sort of war, thing? She complained about that all the characters were fleshed out except the little girl. Like she could not give me a compliment without following it up with a negative. And then said and then later said that there were too many subplots.
So you're making
like-
a case that you could rebut her point by point, and
Right.
you could say you're wrong because, but you
Right.
did not.
Did not.
Mhm.
It's not, because that's what we should never do that as authors. And also, you don't want to stop other people from giving reviews. Like I want everyone to understand, I am okay if I get negative reviews. I need to be. We all need to be okay if we get negative reviews, because we are not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I wanted to be transparent in this moment for everyone to see that it happens, and that it's gonna hurt. It
Yeah.
hurt me last night. And if you guys go back and look at the review, because she put it everywhere, BookBub, Goodreads, it's everywhere. If you go back and read it, you might have like Jamie's reaction, like, that's not so bad, Jen. But wait till it's your turn.
Yeah.
When it happens to you,
turn.
it stings. And
Because
so
tell them everything I said to you before I said that to you. I said,
yes,
before she even read it to me, I said, okay, no matter how bad it is, even if there's truth to it, you know what I mean? Nothing changes about you being a good writer and all this stuff, but now it's going to hurt. Because you have to allow yourself to feel like, if you're hearing Jen say things and your temptation is to defend the reviewer, that's not what she needs right now. Right now, she needs to hear, yeah, ouch, right?
yeah, exactly.
And then later you can tell her why she maybe should ease up, or whatever you're hearing in her that you want to correct right now. Just be a support system for your friend when it happens to them, and just hear how it hurts. You know what I mean?
And know that it's completely natural as a writer for it to sting, even if everyone's telling you, well, 3, like someone said, I agree to, Cindy says, I agree that to me a 3 is like, I like it, but apparently Amazon says it's negative.
And you work so hard to build your
It's
reputation. Like Jen says, if you've only got 3 reviews and one of them is a 3-star, ouch, right? So it really does affect your career. You really get to be sad about a negative review. It's okay.
Right. Cindy was commenting on this. Can you clarify something on Maria's comment? Can you clarify something? I would see 3 stars as positive. Technically, it's like 66%, but it seems to be seen as negative. Amazon marks it as negative. Amazon sees it as negative. That's the only reason I'm commenting on it. And the woman's comments were like,
yes,
like I
and
said.
I don't think, now see, this is also why Jennifer is bristly, because this was an author who should know these things, whatever. But a consumer may give you a 3-star review thinking that they are paying you a compliment, because consumers do not think like content creators. Consumers think, well, 3 is average, 3 is good, so it has to really impress me to get above average. So sometimes you can codify yourself by thinking the customer probably thought I was at least average. Okay. So despite the fact that Amazon sees it as negative, you can tell yourself that the customer probably thought they were giving you a good grade, so to speak.
Right. Maria says, my only 3-star review was a reviewer who said she enjoyed my writing and characters, but didn't finish halfway through because the historical fiction was not her cup of tea. Yeah, I've had something like that before too. Rhonda, you tried saying something earlier. Did we miss it? Like, is it past
I
there?
was just going to point out her question and ask. So I know Amazon does 3 stars as negative, but what about the other place she posted?
BookBub and all those places. That's
Yeah,
a good question.
I think if someone gave me 3 stars, but the writing, like what she said was wrong with it, was just kind of like, it wasn't, I'd have been fine. I just felt like again, I'm a little sore about it. I'm sure it's fine. I'll get over it.
Do the other platforms have
Ratings,
negative
yeah.
weight on 3 stars?
I don't know, but she gave me 3 stars on them, so I'm not really sure. I just assume that they do. Yeah. So
well, I have so many more questions about reviews, but we're not even through the what's up, and we have a different topic today. Now, I don't care if we just make this all about reviews.
I want to end on a positive, because
right.
I mentioned it to my little girls who range in age from 10 to 15. And so they wanted me to read it. So we're all sitting on my bed. I read it to them. And of course, they all had different reactions, because I have my logical oldest one. I have my middle one that doesn't say boo. She just absorbs everything. And then my little one that's against your rights. She can't do it. Yes, she can, sweetheart. But at the very end, my middle one, like I said, who absorbs everything. And then when she speaks, it's like a well thought out thing. She goes, Mom, I think you need to buy her book and you need to read it and then you need to review it. I'm like, no, I'm not going that route. And she put her finger up and she's like, and you need to only point out the positives and you need to encourage her as a writer.
Aww.
Good for her.
Who's raising this girl? Someone other than me, because that was like very heartfelt. So anyway, I just wanted to share that to encourage everybody. So I didn't mean to take up that much time of our what's up, but it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And I am just like you, and I am fallible, and like it stung. So, but I'm over it now. It's fun.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Jen. And what's been up with you this week, Rhonda?
Well, this week has been pretty great, even though it's so freezing cold up here. So I have so I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I've really had a horrible, horrible year physically. And so last week I went to my doctor, and I finally took the painkiller prescription that he had been trying to get me to use. It has been such a blessing, because I feel like my old self right now, even though before I took that medicine, I was like creaky old lady walking around. And so I just regret not taking advantage of that. But this has been
No
a
regrets.
fantastic week.
No
I've
regrets.
gotten so much done. I still have like 9 months of stuff to catch up on.
Yay!
But, yeah. So I'm just moving forward, just getting a little bit of stuff done every day.
You know what? I mean, it's a study of one, and allopathy might be the way to go in this particular instance. I mean, you know your body better than anybody, and if you need homeopathy, you need homeopathy, and if you need allopathy, then you do. Big whoop-de-doo. I'm glad that you're making the choice that is working for your life, Rhonda, because you're the one that has to live it. So rock on with your bad self. I'm going to save my what's up that I had for this week for next week, because it's very show and telly and we're running long. But I do want to hear Bambina's what's up, because she's been gone for a while. What's your what's up, Bambina?
Well, along the topic of reviews, since my launch, I've gotten 10 reviews on Goodreads.
Yay!
And I think it's 7 right now on Amazon, although I haven't checked this morning.
That's
and
awesome.
They're all 5 stars, so I'm a little like kind of gritting my teeth and waiting for that 3-star like Jen. Then I'll be a real author.
Then we can have ice cream or something together. I looked all over my house for something bad for me last night. Thank goodness there wasn't anything. But
so 2 of those Amazon reviews were from verified purchases. So that was kind of awesome. And I have like almost $100 in royalties waiting for me on Amazon, where I think it takes like 90 days to get them or something. And then I've also sold, so I ordered 40 books for my book launch party. I sold about 20 of them on that day. And then I have had people slowly asking me if I can send them autograph copies. So I've been using the extras to do that. So I've sold 18 on Amazon and 24, I think, of my hard copies that I ordered. So I'm happy with that, and a month out from my launch.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, Tina. That is really, really awesome. And I love your attitude too, because so many authors, they get already, they launch, and then they're not selling millions of books, and all of a sudden they throw in the hat. But you have to understand, this is the long game, right? Like, we're building a business. And so that, I think, is amazing to sell that many. Congratulations.
Yeah. And I really noticed when I took a couple of weeks off and I didn't do my newsletter. I didn't send it out. And I wasn't involved in any story origin or book funnel promotions for those 2 weeks. And I noticed my sales dip for those 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so that was just proof to me that being involved in these promotions on book funnel and story origin were helping my sales.
Yep. Lots of congratulations coming from the chat for you too.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we want to talk about your awesome book and the launch, because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about launch parties and lifting off your launch parties. And I've closed my document that had this week's outline in it. So I don't even remember the title of the episode. Somebody help me, please.
Before your book launch party.
Right. And so Jen has only, we all have our different experiences with book launches. So why don't we talk about why we haven't done them or whatnot? What do you say, Jen?
Okay. So I have only done online book launch parties, mostly because I thought nobody will want to come if I did it in person. I'm serious, absolutely 100% serious. My husband had encouraged me to do it. He wanted me to do a book launch, and I'm like, no, like why would anyone, the whole imposter syndrome thing. And so at the very beginning, I agreed with him that when book 4 came out, we would have an in-person and I would just do the online ones. And I love the online ones. Like I love them partially because Jamie helps me. Jamie is really great at hosting that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And
thanks.
it makes it a lot of fun. And it's been very successful for me to do it that way. I get a lot of interaction. So yeah, so that ultimately that's why I've chosen to just do the online parties. What about you ladies? Rhonda, did you guys never have done a book launch party, correct? For your books?
No, we haven't.
Are you thinking that you might, or like, are you going to do that as a pen name? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts? Because you guys have a different sort of a situation going on anyway.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to my writing partner if she really wants to have one. But I don't like being the center of attention, and it just kills me. I mean, I'll tell people about my book like I'm one-on-one, but I don't see myself having a launch party. Maybe somebody will talk me out of that at some point, but it's just not me.
Have you thought of it? Because I will just tell everybody right now, I've only published shorts and I haven't really thought yet of having a launch party. But because I'm like you, Rhonda, and I felt this way, I've had to reframe my thinking, Rhonda. Now, imagine if you were president of Acme Widget Company and Acme Widget had a brand new widget that it was launching. You would do a product launch party, right? And you have to start thinking about your book as a commodity that you are trying to sell to people. And so the point of the party is to introduce your product to the community, which if you don't want it to be D.D. Bowman, the person, it doesn't have to be. Make your focus of the launch the book. Don't have you and your mom do the readings, for example. Have like other people come and do live readings from the book so that the feature of the book, the party, is your book and not necessarily you. You can be on hand to sign copies, but you don't have to have your face plastered all over the marketing, especially in your case, since you are working under a pen name and it is 2 people and you have different challenges for that reason anyway. Does that help you feel a little better about having a book launch party?
I feel the same.
Cindy says, I'm with you, Rhonda. I don't like having 2 people in person. And Maria says, Rhonda, I'm exactly the same. This is why I had my husband hosting it and asking me questions. So it wasn't just me rambling for an hour. That's why I have Jamie there. Nobody wants to hear Jen ramble for an hour.
I'm sure Tina just couldn't wait to put herself out in front of public, right, Tina? I'm sure you were chomping at the bit.
I was not. No.
So did you feel kind of like Rhonda and the other chatters in the chat about doing a book launch party? Like, were we coaxing you out from under the couch?
Yeah, I would have to say that doing this podcast has lessened my anxiety.
Oh, good.
About being in front of people. I was the person who would run if I saw a camera. Like, not literally, but I would hide. I would hide from the camera. I didn't want to my picture taken. I didn't want to be videotaped, nothing. And then you guys talked me into the podcast, and I've just gotten kind of good at, while it's happening, kind of putting it from my mind, and then I don't go back and watch it later.
I've got to say, thank God, literally thank God that we convinced you, because if you guys haven't watched Tina's live stream from her launch party, she does such a wonderful gospel presentation wrapped up in the middle of that. And she didn't even realize what she was saying, I don't think. And she just talked and talked so eloquently, and the world would have been deprived of that wonderful message if she would have been hiding from the camera. So I just want to encourage everybody to be a little braver, because if God gives you something to say, he'll give you an audience too. Right. So, Jen, you did virtual. Tina did an in-person. Rhonda and I are still scaredy bunnies. But what do you have to say about it now that you've been through it? Do you have what I would do different? What I wish I knew? What are the takeaways? You pros?
You want me to go first, Tina?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, for sure have somebody with you. First, even if you are virtual, it makes it more conversational. Somebody that you're comfortable with, but also understands and knows the book. Someone that's read the book. That helps out a lot. Have giveaways and have kind of like at least a semi-schedule. For me and Jamie, we could chat for an hour on toenail clippings if we had to. Like we just could.
My favorite subject.
Yes,
That's
Rhonda's
next
laughing
week's
because
topic.
yeah,
We should do a podcast on that.
yeah. But Jamie always pushed me to make sure I kind of had like bullet points of what we were going to cover. If you are not like we've been podcasting for a few years now, so that helps. If we weren't podcasting, I would probably have a specific outline. This is what's going to happen at this time, this is next, because when you go live, all of a sudden you forget what you're thinking or what you're doing. And then people are commenting and you're answering them and you're going to have tech issues. So I guess that'd be my best advice too, is to do something like maybe StreamYard, like we use, because you can try it out and we have a lot less tech issues sharing, with StreamYard, and just come at it with like just fun, like, and have low expectations and then chat up with the people that are there. So
I would also want to just say in general that there's a level of basic party planning that you have to dust off. If it's been a long time since you planned something like a wedding shower, a baby shower, a birthday party, you're going to have to dust off those skills for a launch party, because you have to secure a venue and you have to think about things like seating and decorations and what time does the venue open? Is someone going to be there to help you set up tables? Is there a table? I mean, you have to sort of put your party planner hat on and don't expect the person at the venue to care about your event the way that you did. Like it was up to you, Tina, to make sure that you had a spot to sit and sign your books and things like that, right?
Well, the lady whose bookstore I hosted mine at is a friend of mine, so she was very helpful. And she just told me, I have tables, I have enough seating, and I'm going to rearrange everything so you can be inside. Because usually she does these in the summer, and then she's got this really adorable little patio in front of the store, and then there's like a creek right next to it with like a bridge. It's really very cute. But it was winter, so we had it inside, and she had the tables all set up where they should go and everything when I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got lucky because.
But you did have to like have some conversations, right? I mean,
right, we had
to,
conversations about it. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because like, can you even bring in a cake to the venue? Like you can't go and order a sheet cake for 100 people only to find out that your venue won't let you have it in there, for example.
Right.
Like you have to put on your party planner hat and check all those P's and Q's, right?
Right. Yep.
Any other advice for party planning, things you would do differently, Tina, or things that worked really well for you, Jen, or any ideas that have occurred to you, Rhonda?
Well, I guess my book launch party was kind of a hybrid, because I had the physical party, but then I also had the virtual part starting at 3:00. So my party was from 12 to 4, and then at 3 we started the virtual one. And I think something that I would do differently would be I would have somebody else in charge of the tech besides me, because I was very distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had friends there and there were people there that wanted their books signed, and I'm trying to set up the ring light and the camera and the computer and go live on Facebook. And I'd gone live on Facebook on my phone before, but not on my laptop, and all the settings and everything were in a different place, and there's people talking to me and I'm trying to figure out if I'm even live. And so that was just like, so then I ended up have the privacy setting on my live was set to only me, and I did not know it. And so the whole part where I wanted to do a live giveaway didn't work because nobody was watching. And I had to change the setting later and make it public. So I just want to say on that note that I had 2 giveaways. I had one for a free Audible download, and I had one for this Christian planner right here. So Roberta Heidebrecht won the download, and Jennifer Vukovic won the planner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I didn't announce that sooner, but like I said, I took a few weeks off. So.
Well, I gotta say one thing that was very smart is Tina did have somebody else taking care of her giveaway. That volunteer, that cute little redhead that sat by the door taking down everybody's information was none other than Rhonda. And Jen, or Tina, how do you feel about implementing sort of staff in that way? So Tina, you're saying a welcoming person was a good choice, and you would also have a tech person. Is there other staff that you like? I might put someone in charge of refreshments if I was doing anything bigger than you did. Like if I was doing anything more than cake and punch, I would probably have like a refreshments person. And it's not like you got to hire staff. Just ask a friend. Can you just make sure that there's always ice water in the pitchers? Can you just make sure that everybody who buys a copy of my book puts their name in this fishbowl? It's not hard.
Right.
I just did mine so that it was kind of I don't know, that everyone could serve themselves, and the cake was pretty much already cut. There was a knife there. I had a big thing. You know how churches have the big things, coffee? I had one of those. So we made like 5 pots of coffee and put it in there. So I didn't have to worry about anyone making fresh coffee. And we just had little bottles of water. So I didn't have to worry about ice or pitchers or any of that stuff. So that I designed it that way so that it was like, it was there and I didn't really have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had you MC the virtual part, which I felt was really great and we had an outline, and it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take, mostly because we didn't do the giveaways, I think.
Right. And I think that's important. I think it's important to be flexible with your outline. If you go live and you're only halfway through your outline, but you feel like you're finished, stop. Don't feel like you have to honor your 1 hour block of time that you're streaming, because like Rhonda said one time, it gets a little thin sometimes when you try to stretch. You think you have all of this stuff to say, and it turns out you only have this much to say. Nobody cares that you were scheduled to go an hour and it only lasted a half an hour. Make sure that the audience experience is positive, in my opinion. Would you ladies agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you're virtual, having people do these things for you is important. If
Very
you're worried
important.
about the tech, or maybe even if you're not, having someone else there to like make sure tech is working so that you can just be concentrating on the chat and being yourself and talking about your book. I learned after my first launch, I did better at the second launch, having someone else keep track of for my giveaway, because they don't have to be on screen. They can just be off paying attention and keeping track. That is super, super important. Also, I've heard of other people making sure that at their the physical launch parties, they have someone there gathering email addresses for your mailing list. Like you don't think about this, but people in person, when they meet you in person, they would probably most likely want to be on your mailing list because all of a sudden they've met an author and they got a book from them and they want to know more. So having someone there doing that for you is not like you going out, hey, you want to be on a mailing list? It feels a little less icky, right? You have someone else doing that kind of stuff for you. The more people you can have involved, the better, because it just gives you more time to relax and enjoy the moment. Because honestly, that's really what you should do at your launch party, is enjoy it. And you've worked hard. You have done a lot of work and writing and editing and book design, everything. And this is the time just to enjoy it. So.
Well, and I want to say, you always, in my opinion, can practice too. If you can't find somebody else to be your tech person, at least set up an environment as similar to the day of your launch as you can, and try to run the tech. Ideally, it's not your problem and someone else is going to do it. But I'm the kind of person where I would pretend that person got smallpox and died that day. And I would do it myself, and I would do a practice just to make sure everything works the way I expect before I arrive on scene the day of. Because then you kind of have familiarity if a button's in a different place and you're not expecting that. And then you're not so like, bleh, on the day of. But I'm feeling really inspired that when I'm finally rolling around to a book launch, I'm going to have a lot better of an idea of how I can make it not stressful for myself. Tina, you never let him see you sweat. It seemed like you had a great day. Would you say that it was a great day overall?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was really a party.
And once I changed the privacy on that thing, a lot of people watched it. So
it's very good. It's a very good live stream. What were you going to say, Jen? You got the chat?
Yeah, there's lots of great comments going on in the chat.
Always in our chat.
Yes. Moon Bunny Creative says, I was very lucky that the venue for my book launch was the same bookstore where I used to run my writing group. So the owner really did care about my stuff.
What a blessing. That's
Yes.
so awesome.
So that's a piece of advice. It doesn't have to be a bookstore. It could be a little restaurant. It could be, there's lots of different options, but finding a place that is owned by someone that loves you or is familiar with you, that's a bonus. So that would be really great.
Yeah.
Maria says, a lady from my church made an amazing cake with a design on the front cover for my second book coming out. So yeah, that's awesome.
That's so nice.
Tina, the same thing. Tina knew the person that did her cake.
Just
so finding people to
Yeah,
help out.
she put my book cover right on the cake. So it was really awesome.
Yes, on having someone else run the tech, Tina. I also ran my own tech for my in-person launch, which is through Facebook, and I was so distracted. Yes.
Yeah.
And then Maria says, the main thing I do differently is to get the tech sorted sooner. Hubs was in charge of that, but didn't get around to it on the day. He's very busy, to be fair, so it wasn't able to be in YouTube in the end. Yeah, practice if you can. Like we practice for mine. We practiced a bunch, Jamie and I did, on our private Facebook page to see how it was going to run, and still had problems the day of.
Yes, and to be fair, we were still new to like streaming and everything, so we probably would have practiced because like we didn't even know what should we use. Remember, because we were trying to do Discord for a while, like which service we should use. I mean, gosh, we really were a mess at first with trying to even figure out tech.
So my biggest piece of advice is StreamYard. It's free to begin with, unless you want extra like things which you don't need for what we're talking about for doing your book launch. StreamYard makes everything streamlined and easy, and you can but you cannot see it unless you pay for it. You cannot do both YouTube and Facebook. So, but there are options out there. But
I've got to say, I really like StreamYard for what I've been using, which is to stream to my Facebook, because I tried to use Facebook Live because the algorithm wants you to, but it's unreliable. I'll click go live, and then when I return to the window, your live was not able to start. And I'm like, so I'm not going to use your thing, Facebook, if you're going to let me down. You know what I mean? I just can't until I know it's going to actually go live when I say go live. Anyway, who needs to hear all of that? I just wanted to give a shout out. First of all, Moon Bunny, I love your logo with that little bunny, like with the floppy ear. Okay, that's said. Now, also, everybody in our chat has so much information and wisdom. I really hope that anybody who's listening will find where do you read this stuff, Jen? Do they go to our YouTube page? Where are these comments like to look for them?
Some of them are on Facebook today because we had some people that were having technical difficulties on but YouTube, if you head over to our YouTube channel and you click on the video, you'll get to watch and reread all of these great suggestions and comments, encouragement to one another. We just love our chatters.
Yeah,
I think we should mention too that there's like a processing thing that happens after we go offline, and the chat doesn't show up until that processing that YouTube processes is done. So if you go immediately, it's not going to be there. You have to wait for the processing.
Awesome. All right. Well, do you think that we covered book launches, or do we have any final thoughts before we move on to the feeding of the Becks?
Well, I would just point out that you need to determine what you think this is going to cost you and what you can afford to do.
Oh, that's a very good point.
I spent a lot of money. I bought this banner. And I have somewhere, it's over here. I bought bookmarks. I have this bookmark and this bookmark. So I had two different bookmarks, and I had my business card. And then this was like the download code for the Audible little card that I had made. So all this stuff costed money. My friend was kind enough not to charge me anything to have the party at her store, and she didn't even want any of the proceeds from the books I sold.
Wow.
So I lucked out.
Don't worry, Tina. She made enough on my kids when they came in. The books that we bought.
Yeah,
my cousin left with 4 bags.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just plug this store real quick. It's called Beloved Books. Beloved, Beloved Books. And it is a wonderful place to just go browse and just be immersed by some real living books. She has a passion for preserving living books, which if you know the difference, like in a Charlotte Mason Academy, you wouldn't read what's called twaddle, which is a waste of time. People believe for children. All of these books are meant to enrich your child's life by immersing them into a world of beautiful words and imagery. If you go to Beloved Books, you'll feel like you stepped into a fairy tale world. It's just an amazing place to go. And I don't remember which city it's in because they moved.
Linden.
Which city?
It's
Linden,
in
Michigan.
downtown Linden. And also, even her new books are marked half off. She doesn't sell anything full price.
Yeah.
Beloved
so-
Books.
Yeah. And the little creek by the side of the building is actually the Mighty Shy.
Oh,
Really?
River.
It was so adorable. I was like, I wish I could be out here like by the water.
It's picturesque, you guys. Go there just to like look at the setting also. It's so beautiful. It's Michigan at its best, I'm telling you.
And
Yeah.
one last comment about the purchases that Tina made. Yes, you don't have to make all of those, but also we want to remind you that this is a business. And so Tina investing into her business is good. So those are the things that you'll have, like Tina said, determine your budget and decide how much you can spend. But we get a lot of flack backs from people sometimes saying, well, I'm not going to spend money on this or that, or, well, then you're not starting a business, because I don't know of any business that you don't have to spend some money on. But trust us, we are DIYers with our books for sure. But some places you'll spend money. So that's probably a whole nother topic of conversation, right?
Yeah, I did like
Whether or
my
not-
cover and everything myself, but I spent a lot of money on courses and things, little classes that taught me how to do those things.
Tina,
Like, I didn't know how.
I wonder if the library would take a few of your bookmarks and disperse them on the counter.
I don't know. They're not open right now.
Right.
Oh, I forgot about
At
that.
least the one by my house is not open, the one that we go to, because of COVID. So,
Same here.
All right. Well, do we say all we have to say about lunches? Can we move on then to the feeding of the backs?
Yeah.
The feeding of the backs is feedback time. We each set a timer for 15 minutes before the podcast and write whatever comes to mind according to the prompt of the day. And I like to pick on Jennifer every time I am hosting and tell Jennifer what was today's prompt and read your story for us.
I will. And if you want to join us before the episode and do your sprinting, you can always find the sprint. I say always, should always find the sprint on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You will also find it in your email. So if you are not subscribed to us, go over to our website, christianindywriters.net, and subscribe so that you can get the newsletter an hour or so before we go live that will have the sprint in it, and you can go ahead and sprint with us. Today's sprint was the icy chill that ran up her back wasn't just from the wind.
Yes, and when we were planning, Tina wasn't there. So Jen said, let's put it in quotes and force Tina to use exactly that sentence. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. But in November, we also put an extra goal on ourselves to try to write into our the story that we're working on using these sprints. I'm not sure that anyone besides me really did that ever, but I'm continuing it because I'm still working on this book. I want to try to finish this book before I go back to editing other books. And so today I'm in the world of the Christmas clean billionaire romance. So
no complaints here.
The icy chill that ran up her back wasn't just from the wind. What do you mean Ryan filed for divorce? Sherry looked confused. He didn't tell you? No, he did not. Well, I'm sure he just forgot. Sherry tugged a pair of gloves onto her long fingers. He probably just assumed it was a given. The gala is over. No reason to delay the inevitable. But he hasn't received his inheritance yet. Sherry continued to fiddle with her gloves without looking at Marjorie, but her movements slowed considerably. I don't think Ryan is concerned with the inheritance anymore. What are you talking about? This whole charade was because of that money. Sherry turned very serious eyes toward her. The inheritance, the process, to be more precise, would have taken too long. Too long? What does that mean? It means that if he had moved forward, if he had continued to pursue his portion of the estate, the two of you would have had to have remained married. For how long? until well into the new year. She paused as if letting that bit of information sink in. Long enough for you to miss the beginning of the semester. Ryan is giving up on his inheritance just so I can finish my law degree? Marjorie asked incredulously. Why would he do that? A soft smile spread across the woman's face. Now that is the real question, isn't it, my dear? Why would a man sacrifice his own wants and desires to ensure that a woman gets exactly what she wants? If you ask me, that kind of sacrifice only comes from a place deep within the heart. Ryan was giving up everything he'd once fought hard for in order for Marjorie to have what she had once fought hard for. There could only be one reason for this, and it is the same reason she'd been willing to give up all her dreams for him. Ryan was in love with her.
Aw.
Brian.
What a great name.
Ryan Hodges.
Is that Warren's grandson?
No. Are you in love with him, Rhonda? Is that what you're saying?
I'm intrigued.
That'd be funny if I made it like that.
So I want to know more about this character. Is it okay to ask? Like,
Yeah.
who is this? A best friend or who is this?
And
Susan.
this is his assistant.
Oh,
that,
okay.
she's
Oh, the one who
older.
picked out the outfits and stuff.
Yes. So
Yes.
like she's kind of a motherly figure to both of them. But she's known him his whole life, and so she doesn't take any of his crap, which is great because most people do. So she doesn't. Marjorie doesn't take his crap. So it's yeah. And so I'm probably gonna flesh this out more, but I didn't know how, like, I have an outline, but I still don't really know exactly how things are gonna play out. But yeah, so that's my final disaster is Ryan is gonna file for divorce.
Wow.
It's for the catching everybody up. This is a marriage of convenience trope that is very common in historical, but I want to try to swing at like doing contemporary with it. So that's what we're doing.
Interesting.
So Shell says, "So sweet, Jen." Thank you, Shell. Appreciate that.
I haven't heard the last few weeks of what you've been writing, but I was really intrigued. It kept my attention.
Oh, good. Thanks, Tina.
So I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely
Catherine.
love these characters. It's a great world. All right, who's gonna be next? How about Rhonda?
Sure. I can sneak my 161 words in real quick. I'm not even going to say anything else about it. All right. The icy chill that ran up her back was not just from the wind. Standing outside in the cold has always been one of her least favorite activities ever, until tonight, she realized, is standing before the old barn. It loomed before her like a creepy gatekeeper. The old wood had barely any paint left, and usually she saw it in a good Joanna Gaines kind of way, but not today. Any other day of the year, Marcy loved the stately old barn with all of its character and history. Marcy felt the heat come into her cheeks as anger started to rise inside her. How dare they turn something she loves so dearly into a cheap thrill such as a haunted hay maze? Marcy felt the attack to her head and side at the same time. She spun on the dirt path, arms swinging as she did. Thankfully, she missed her target. The culprit hadn't stopped to see if Marcy was okay.
Is it a horse?
Is it a horse?
Is
Of
it
course.
a pony?
No.
Yay!
No.
Oh, no.
No, not an animal at all. Didn't even occur.
Rhonda, why are you writing 161 word cliffhangers every week and making me so frustrated with you? I think you do it on purpose.
Love
I
the
would
Joanna
admit.
Gaines reference.
Yes!
Love the gatekeeper reference.
Yes.
You imagine a barn with its big doors and like you just see it. It's like that's awesome.
And you said someone ran into me without saying someone ran into me.
Yeah.
And you did all of that in 161 words. That is like a gift. Like you have created a person in 161 words. Crazy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But that's why I can't get a book done, because if it's got to be 70,000 or 110,000 words, I don't get those.
You're going to do it one bite at a time. One bite at a time. One bite at a time.
One sentence at a time.
Yep.
Wrong person. I thought that was for you. So yeah, I loved it too.
Well, thanks.
And I love because normally you write like historical, like, you know, in the past, like in Mr. But this one, it would for sure be a contemporary. So I would love to see what you do with a contemporary.
I want to know what kind of ghouly, scary person ran into her.
Oh, I think it's a romance.
It's terrifying.
She said it was a haunted thing. So
Yep. You probably don't remember from last year, but Marcy is a character from the sprints I did last year
I do
for
remember.
its own book.
Yes. I think the pony needs to be the only person who like gets her, who side eyes her when she's thinking naughty thoughts. I mean, I think this pony could be like someone she goes to visit to tell all her troubles. Because I'm just inspired by the pony you talked about when you were reading as a kid. So this is why it's a pony to me. Okay, so what
I'm
else?
so lost.
I
So
know, never mind.
maybe
It was precast stuff like the.
That
If
horse was a
this-
stallion, though.
if this doesn't sum up our personalities, Jamie thinks it's a pony. I'm convinced it's a romance, and Tina is like it's a ghoul.
It's a slasher.
It's a slasher.
It's a haunted maze. I
I'm
mean, you guys
surprised that
It's a
can
real
jump
haunted.
out and let's assault
That's
you and those
hilarious.
things.
I think that's great too that she's so offended that it's going to be turned into a tacky amusement. Like, I mean, you just know this person because she's offended by the tackiness. Like, you just know so much about her. Good job.
Well, thank you.
Telemarketer is calling me. How annoying. It even says
Oh.
telemarketer. Like, they don't even know how to like disguise themselves anymore. Thank you, iPhone, or whoever did that. I don't even know.
Mine
Moon
says
Bunny
scam
says-
likely.
Oh, she's listening. Gigi says she loves the couple. Oh, that's not Rhonda's. What did you say? Tina, scam likely?
Yeah, it always says scam likely.
I just do.
And my husband's like, "Who's calling you?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just scam likely again."
I want to change what pops up for me as very important call. You know? Like if you could figure out how to do that, you would like win the telemarketing world and people would hate you. Okay, so I will read mine next so that's not me talking in a row, even though I know Tina hates being last. Sorry, Tina. Okay, no, I won't, because where is my sprint? Here it is. Okay. The wind sweeping across the river made the city lights dance. Veronica leaned in a bit further. Do you guys hear an echo? Can you guys all mute? Because I'm hearing myself twice. The wind sweeping across the river made the city lights dance. Veronica leaned a bit further over the edge and took a satisfying peek at the bridge, only visible on clear, bright nights such as this one. This was it, the view she had worked so hard to earn. She shivered, but the icy chill that ran up her back wasn't just from the wind. An emaciated claw, cold as porcelain, had been perched above the swell of her left hip. You are enchanting. He had sidled up beside her while she'd been distracted by the view. She turned now to face those watery gray eyes, so familiar, sunken within this caricature of the face she'd grown to first love and then to despise. His skeletal form pressed against her and she shuddered, moving away to hide her disgust. You're cold, he said, and made as if to remove his jacket. No, she protested. I was heading in anyway. You should come. He looked at her for a long moment. Just looked. She wasn't expecting an I love you, or even an I'm sorry, but there were so many things he could have said. Instead, the silence that stretched between them was all the permission she needed to let him go for good. She turned and went inside alone.
Oh my word. Like, okay, I wish I wasn't on silent because you would have caught all of my ooh, like throughout it. Like there were so many points in what you wrote, like your description of him, the face that she once loved but had grown to like so good. Because already right then and there, I know this character. I don't know the past, but I can imagine the past, and I know I just you get it, right? You didn't have to say to us this was her husband or love or whatever that she, but now they've had all these problems. You don't have to say all that. With just that one line, you tell us everything, and I loved it.
Right.
Thank you.
And there are so many questions. Why is he gone now? Has he gone through some horrible sickness and it destroyed their marriage? Or
Drug addiction, maybe.
Has he just like shriveled from within because he's a horrible person? I've got so many questions about this, but I love that description.
Thanks.
Or was it an actual skeleton?
Yeah, that one too.
That's what it was
Tina.
that bumped into the lady at Rhonda's barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
a skeleton pony.
That's kind of the mood I was in. And so when you said skeletal form, I'm like, is it really a skeleton?
We have the goblins and ghouls edition of the feeding of the backs today.
This is really late for Halloween.
I know, right? Hilarious. Awesome. Well, what did you write, Tina? Hopefully it's something to make us think of skeletons. Oh, Rhonda.
Real quick,
No.
our chat is, I'm sure the chat's fine, but our getting it is delayed. So, Ron, I just wanted you to know that Gigi found your barn really cool. She said it has personality. It's
That's
amazing.
Very nice comment.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
love that barn as a gatekeeper. That was such an amazing word picture. Very good.
Thank you.
All right. What do you got for us, Bambina?
Okay, so I just want to mention that Jennifer gave us an unofficial challenge at the beginning of the sprint to write a romance,
Oh,
Yes, I did.
and I really tried. That's all.
I didn't think anyone would even. Tina, you're awesome. I did say that, but everyone's like,
Wait,
whatever, Jen.
because read the prompt again, Jen. Why it would be so funny for it to be a romance.
Right. The icy chill that ran up her back wasn't just from the wind, which immediately everyone's like, oh, a horror or thriller. And I'm like, you should all write a romance with that. That's a
I tried, but it was going to get R-rated really quick, and I had to go a different way. So here we go.
Thank you. Thank you very much for censoring yourself.
Yes, thank you, Rod or Tina.
Okay, here we go. His breath on the back of her neck was painful and exquisite at the same time. She chided herself for having such thoughts at a time like this. She should be concentrating on being as silent as possible and not moving. The problem was, the more she concentrated on being silent and still, the greater the urge to shout out and run became. She needed to think about something else, and the heat of his body against her back and his breath on her neck was not a good option. She decided to count the geometric squares on the blouse in front of her. First the red ones, and then the green ones. She heard muffled footsteps and voices in the hallway, and the count was lost from her mind. The bedroom door opened, and now she heard their voices clearly. Check the jewelry box. I'll check the dresser. She heard the screech of wood scraping against wood from the dresser and the jangle of her jewelry being rummaged through. Nothing here but cheap stuff you'd buy at the mall, said the one man, as she heard her jewelry box lid slam shut. Well, go check the closet then. She clamped her hand over her mouth to keep from gasping. She saw the silhouette of the man moving toward the closet through the wooden slats. Her husband put his hands on her waist and began to move her toward the deeper corner of the closet. She tried to resist. What was he going to do? What if the man had a gun? Just then, the wail of sirens could be heard, and they were coming closer. It must be the police. She put her hand on her cell phone in the pocket of her cardigan. She'd called 911, and though she hadn't been able to wait for an answer, had left the phone on. The man coming toward the closet froze, and the one at the dresser swore. Come on, he shouted, and then they both ran from the room. She wanted to wither in her husband's arms, but what if they came back? She lifted her phone to her ear. Hello, she whispered. Are you okay? A woman's voice asked. 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Done.
Good.
That first line, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't go on from there.
Yeah, I know.
Did Jamie? You're muted, but you kind of did, Tina. Like, I still feel like it's a romance in a way because, or at least there's romantic elements. Like, he was going to protect her no matter what, and she was worried that he was going to get hurt. You know, I mean, the whole thing was just very good. Loved it.
I have a question. So, were they in the closet before the burglars came? I mean, is this a thing they do, or did they have to run in there?
No,
Rondo.
they were hiding from the
Oh, okay.
people they heard break into their house.
All right, just clarifying.
I should have put something about them being in their pajamas and nightgown, but
That's
as
for
I said,
editing.
I didn't want it to go rated R.
What I love about this is that you told me that they were in the closet without and hiding from these burglars without telling me that they were in the closet and hiding from them. Because
Yeah.
you got me. Like, you're like, his back is against her and then he's breathing on her neck, and she's just decided to focus on the blouse in front of her. I'm like, how many people are in this room? Like,
I know,
what
yeah,
is this blouse?
right.
You had me. Like, and then as the more you're talking, I'm like, oh, it's actually just a blouse hanging. And like so well done, Tina. That is how you do it. That is how you
very good
show and
writing.
not tell. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Okay, so
Very good.
Shell says, wow, Tina, so great. Agreed. And then here's our delayed ones. Jamie, I can feel the tension between these two. The water gray eyes. Ooh, that is really good.
Oh, thank you.
That line for
Jamie,
me
great
too.
descriptions. So
Thanks. All right. Well, I forgot I'm the host, so I was just waiting for whoever the host was to start talking, and it's me. Okay. So great. Now we have to talk about what's next for everybody. We're going to go around the table again and find out what is coming up and to see if there's a way we can hold each other accountable. So what's next for you, Tina?
Working on book 2.
Working on book 2. Talk about book 2. Get people jazzed and excited. Is there a newsletter they can sign up for updates, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, yeah. You can sign up for my newsletter at ChristinaCattane.com. The only thing I want to say about book 2 is book 1 was set in the spring, which is new life, and so she gained new life spiritually in book 1. And so I felt like spring was perfect so that the environment would match her reality. And so I'm doing the same thing in book 2, but this is going to be set in the middle of the winter. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Very different challenges, I would imagine, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to deal with forgiveness and faith. So
wonderful. Well, what's next for you, Rhonda?
Well, I have 20 days until I officially start my first year as a snowbird. So I am so excited. I cannot even stand myself right now.
Me too.
So I'm just trying to wrap up some things around the place here for the household. But as far as my writing goes, Nano got me back into my writing habits the way I wanted it to. So that was a success. And Moon Bunny, I have tried to go to your writing sprint twice in the last week, and I have fallen asleep before I can even make it. She has 5 a.m. sprints from South
5
Africa.
a.m. our time. Right?
What?
5 a.m.
No.
our time.
No, 5 a.m. her time.
What time is it our time?
I think it's like 10 p.m., I believe.
Wow.
Well, Moon
but
Bunny,
anyway,
put in
I
there.
will make one just to let you know.
Moon Bunny is making dinner right now. Wow. See,
Yeah.
that's interesting. See what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
wow. Her life is so different than what's going on with like this afternoon here. Like, sorry. Okay. Squirrel. 10 p.m. Eastern, Moon Bunny says. So Rhonda is too sleepy to join you some of the time, but she's saying
just those
she's
2
making
particular
effort.
days.
Yes.
Getting used
Okay.
to my medication.
All right. So
So Maria,
ahead.
no, we cannot see your what's next. I'm not sure why. I've not seen it on there.
yeah, Maria's asking, can we see her what's next? It's not there. My what's next? Well, I just want to say I'm very excited. My newsletter has a 39% open rate, and that to me is a success. So I'm really happy with how it's going, and I really would like to grow it. I would like to ask you guys to pretty please share writingshorts.net, and please pass around writingshorts.net and the newsletter form that you find to sign up there, because I do have free short stories in every issue of the Writing Shorts newsletter. I'm hoping that it's a good experience for people who get the newsletter to actually have something to read on their coffee break or their lunch hour. So you're actually doing people a favor and giving them a free short story written by me every time they open the Writing Shorts newsletter. You can subscribe yourself, www.writingshorts.net, and you can even see some back issues on the landing page when you get there, so you can see if it's for you. Thanks for listening. And Jen, what's next for you?
Well, I'm still working on this book that I am tentatively titled. I have tentatively titled it A Christmas of Convenience, and I would really like to finish it. So so by the end of January is my hope. So I am going to be showing up for office hours with the caveat that it is Christmas time, and I do have parents that need my help with lots of things, and I've been trying to let them. I've been trying to have them let me like pick up their groceries and do all that kind of stuff for them. But my dad is kind of stubborn because he's not elderly, but anywho, so I've been doing lots of busy things, but I'm still going to continue to work on the book. Last month, I did daily writing sprints, talking about writing sprints like Moon Bunny does, and it went well, and I enjoyed it, and it helped keep me on track. So starting at the beginning of the year, I'm going to start that back up, not every day, but I'm going to start that back up again because it helped me as much as it helped other writers. So be looking for that. But yep, continuing with this book till I finish it, the rough draft, and after the first year. But we'll talk about that, I guess, next week, right? Because next week we're going to be talking about how to hit the ground running with 2021, right?
Yes, that's exactly what's on schedule for next week. Moon Bunny says she has an author interview on Sunday and has some big side projects coming down the pipe that she's very excited about. Big things
Yay.
happening. Fun.
Shell says, "What's next? Doing cheesy Christmas movie reviews all month on social media.
Fun.
Great this weekend
Such
too.
a good idea.
I have a blog review of Tina's book almost ready to go. Hope to
Ooh.
finish it this weekend. That's
Oh, good.
amazing.
Make sure you send me a link so that I can share it.
I'm sure it'll be well done.
Maria, I don't think you can put links in the YouTube chat.
She says she's not doing that, so Maria hasn't been able to share her what's next.
Oh.
It's a bummer.
Well, and I just want to say good for you for posting your review as a blog post. That's what we like to call organic platform building. You take the crap you make and spread it around, right? So you make a blog review, you make a review. You don't just put it on Amazon. You go ahead and turn that baby into a blog post and you tweet about it and you Facebook, wherever you're doing social media. Make sure that you're not wasting any commodity that you have, that you're putting it on all of your platforms so that you are getting the most bang for your buck out of that content that you have. Okay, so I think that's it, right? Like, did we get everybody's what's up and what's next?
I believe so.
All right. So until next time, that concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next time, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.